Wanted just to follow up, Congressman Wolf, on what you had said a little bit about some alternatives, and in one, that you mentioned was this Nineveh Plains province, the idea of designing this a unique place for Christians, Yazidis, other besieged minorities. Wondered how that would work, what we in Congress could do to push something like that, if you really see that as a possibility, and how do we get there?
Well, there are groups that are going to work on it. I understand maybe some of them are here today that are going to come together to put a resolution in. I think, I can't speak for Mr. Fortenberry, but I think he's for it. I think Congresswoman Anna Eshu's for it. It's a very non-threatening, it basically says in this region, in this county, in this area, they will be able to have Christian Yazidis, and the Yazidis want to come to join. Shabak and Turkmen and others will be there together. We visited a Christian militia. Some of the guys were 20 pounds overweight, but they come back in and they were working out. They were going to try to protect. They were not going to be the point of the spear, but they were going to protect their village. The Yazidis now have. They want their own because, quite frankly, I think, honesty, some of the Kurds turned the weapons on the Yazidis. I mean, Yazidis told me they were in Sinjar Mountain. They gave up their weapons, and some of the Kurds turned and shot them and left in the middle of the night. They want to be able to protect themselves. So I think it has a lot of merit to aid them to protect. Again, not to fight ISIS, to protect and give them that opportunity. And the Kurds, I think, would be for it, but I think for the administration to seize that, and then they build their homes. Secondly, Cardinal Werda, Bishop Werda, would like to see American universities each university take one or two of his students from the Erbil area, Christians, Yazidis, Turkmen, to come to an educational, spend a year or two in the United States with a guarantee they would come back to give hope. So there's a lot that could be done, and I think the legislation should be introduced within the next couple of weeks.
Good, thank you. I guess, and open this up to any of you. With that, that certainly there is a desire for many of these people that they don't want to leave. They just are being forced out against their will, but really would want to go back. This is their homeland. This has been their homeland for thousands of years. And Congressman Wolf, as you said, really the birthplace of Christianity, and so much rich history and connection there. I wonder, and hopefully as soon as possible, some of the ISIS-held lands are going to be liberated. I wondered what steps are being taken to ensure that the Iraqi central government and, say, also the Kurdish regional government will ensure that any property confiscated by ISIS, such as homes and places of worship, will be returned to their rightful owners. Have there been steps? Is there more that we can do to make sure that happens?
To date, no. In fact, I talked to a Christian man that said he was from a little town near Mosul, and a family took over his town, a family that he took over his house that he actually knew. He said several weeks later they called him up on his cell phone and asked him how to work a piece of electrical equipment in his house. Here these people had taken his house. Wow. He couldn't work. I don't know if it was the dryer or I don't know what it was, but we're asking him. He said, I can never go back. But I can stay, he said, in the Erbil area. I can stay in a protected. So there really has not been a lot done. Now, in fairness to the Iraqi government, Mosul was still controlled by ISIS, and that's where Jonah's tomb was blown up. And so there may be an opportunity, but my sense is most of the ones that I talked to led me to believe they will have a very difficult time returning to Mosul to see the person who took their home, but they may, but they would like to stay up in the Nineveh Plains area.
Yeah.
I think that if you're looking for models for how to do this very well, I really truly believe the U.S. engagement with Cambodia and the reconstruction of that country, supporting documentation. The Documentation Center of Cambodia is, I think, a model for how to document atrocities. And I think this would go a long way towards just providing models that would answer your question for how to do this. And then I would add one thing. I do believe that your larger concerns about accepting the refugees. Look, the ultimate goal of Daesh is to not to murder people. It's to create a society that is pure according to the ideological reasons that they want to do it. So actually, by ridding the region of pluralism and this heritage, you're actually helping them achieve their own goal. You see parallels of this. This is why Hitler wanted to ship the Jews off to Russia and the U.S. This was fine for Hitler. So this is something. This is a very, very important thing to remember. And I would add that the key is to make sure that our interventions are done in a way that doesn't recreate the very conditions that gave rise to these kind of ideologies in the first place. This means it's a
Good point.
Well, if I could just emphasize what Congressman Wolf said, if Mosul had been retaken in 3 to 6 months, you might have had a lot of people try to go back. But now after 2 years and longer, you're going to evict people who have been living in these neighborhoods. I think that the chances of that are very, very difficult, and we have to take the realistic assessment here that people are going to stay out of Mosul, and they've got to be given an opportunity with education and medical care at the university level, at the elementary and secondary level, so that their children have a future.
One last thing, if I could, real quickly, and would echo Congressman Wolf from your testimony of really the positive of the administration and Congress coming together to condemn ISIS atrocities as genocide. But really that next step now, do you support and how should we go forward, I guess, as far as investigation, documentation, and prosecution of ISIS actions as crimes against humanity, war crimes before the International Criminal Court or other appropriate venues? Which is the right way to go, do you think, in this situation?
Well, I think there ought to be a team assembled at the Justice Department and also at the State Department to kind of deal with these issues. I think you're going to have to deal with it quickly, and I think, as was said by Mr. Anderson, now that that's passed, I think there had the Congress not voted on it, and had the administration not called it genocide, it would have been unbelievably demoralizing for the people. But now that the Congress has voted on it and the administration has spoken on it, I think there is some expectations that something more will be done. At a minimum, they should begin to, those Americans, it was 240 a year ago, I don't know what the number is now, are they being prosecuted? Are cases being established? Are they on the no-fly zone? Are we seizing their assets? What are we doing? So I think you ought to get a group at the Justice Department and the State Department to consult to begin to do something. And I think that would be a relatively non-controversial issue coming out of the Congress, to again show that we are going to at least prosecute those who are Americans. And I think our allies, I mean, there are 4,000 to 5,000 from England, and they ought to be doing basically the same thing.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It does feel like the right next step, and with taking this first step, I think it would be, again, demoralizing to not follow through on what the law requires on this. So, again, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Let us know how we can be helpful. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.